Margaret Brennan joins us now. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, good to be with you.
So CBS News confirmed the president is leaning toward decertifying the deal. During remarks on Wednesday, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Iran is technically compliant. Is this a case of the goalposts being moved by the administration?
Yes, the administration wants the Iran nuclear deal that was specifically about containing Iran's nuclear program for about a decade, possibly longer, to now encompass more things than the original agreement did. Secretary Tillerson said this isn't just the spirit, it's the intention, saying, and this was the case at the time, that the Obama administration and its partners around the world, Russia, China among them, hoped that with this first step, Iran might take further measures to sort of reform themselves, stop being bad actors in the world. But the specifics of the deal, and that's why it's significant, Tillerson says technically they are compliant, the specifics of the deal require nothing more than doing what the UN watchdog says they're doing, which was to stop enrichment, to slow the development. And remember, when they brokered this agreement and it went into effect back in 2015, the estimates from U.S. intelligence at the time were that Iran was 6 months away from having nuclear weapons capability. Right. So if this all falls apart, that's what's at stake, perhaps going back to that development.
So Tillerson also said that the president refused to tell British Prime Minister May what his decision was. What's your take on that?
It's pretty unusual for a Secretary of State, America's chief diplomat, to reveal any kind of details of what are normally confidential conversations, but I think it speaks to the fact that this is how these very unusual negotiations and conversations are going within this administration. Typically, you would think that having your closest allies on the same page, having the same position, would make your bargaining position stronger. That's not what the Trump administration is doing, however. Theresa May said this is a vitally important deal. Please don't in any way endanger this. And she's advocating, as are our French allies, to have a separate round of talks or a side deal here. But Iran is saying, no go. We brokered this deal specifically. According to the watchdog, we're living up to it, and we're not going back to the negotiating table. They've got some difficult politics at home. So this is a high-stakes gamble for the Trump administration. There's
a school of thought that the Europeans who are involved in this deal are in this because there's a business interest for them. There's a financial interest for them, and whereas for President Trump in the U.S., it's more of a political, and they truly believe that the deal was terrible. What's your take on that school of thought? Do you believe that's what's going on here?
I mean, that's an argument at the time that you heard a lot when the deal was being brokered, because there are more European countries, companies, I should say, who do have interest in doing business in Iran. And that's why it matters what the U.S. does. The U.S. is the financial behemoth here. So if we start making it more difficult for anyone to do business with Iran, it could gunk up some of those business deals European companies have in the pipeline. But it's important to remember, Russia and China signed up for this. We need Russia and China in order to get any kind of new diplomatic deal or effort at the UN Security Council. So there are those raising concerns here, particularly those who brokered this deal, to say, why would you break a promise that you made to China on Iran and then ask China to, in good faith, go forward with a diplomatic deal on North Korea? That you're making life more complicated for yourself.
Right. So on North Korea, if the U.S. does bail on this deal, what does that signal to North Korea? Do you buy this school of thought that this is a signal to North Korea that the U.S. can't be trusted when it comes to making these kinds of deals?
It certainly is raising those questions that I hear from foreign diplomats who are in the room with our Secretary of State and our UN ambassador, saying this is so unusual, and this is risky, and this is what America is risking in terms of its credibility, because it does cause you to question what will happen going forward. Will another American president tear up a deal, even though it's enshrined in international law? But I do want to put the brakes a little bit on this to say some of this is public posturing by the Trump administration to see if they can get anyone to agree to renegotiate. And some of this is President Trump trying to see if he can have this both ways. Can he come forward on a political promise he made to say, I'm not going to stick by a deal I think was a bad one, but somehow keep it in place? Can he decertify but not blow up the entire deal? That's what he is trying to see. That's also what behind the scenes international lawyers and diplomats involved in this are trying to play out. And this is going to go to the U.S. Congress. I don't know anyone who's ever bet that things would get easier when they were kicked over to Congress to weigh in on, but that's what the Trump administration is saying they want to do here. Well, we'll let Congress decide whether it's in the U.S. national security interest to remain in this deal, and we'll see where we go from there. That's what's at stake October 15th, and that's when President Trump has to decide by.
Margaret Brennan, it's so great to have you here in person. Thank you.
Good to talk to you.